This is ACOFAE. Laura Marie and Jessica Marie proudly present A Court of Fandoms and Exploration, a podcast. Fair warning, everything the hosts say is explicit, full of spoilers and adult content and shall not be used against them. They have opinions. Let's try not to drag anyone for expressing themselves and just have fun for an hour. We all deserve it.
This episode has no spoilers, but mentions a multitude of movies including Moulin Rouge and Romeo and Juliet. For full list, please see show notes.
Hi everybody, and welcome to A Court of Fandoms and Exploration, your weekly deep dive into the YA literature and fandoms that we love. I'm Laura Marie.
And I'm Jessica Marie.
And today we are discussing Strictly Ballroom, the first movie in Baz Luhrmann's The Red Curtain Trilogy, but the third movie that we watched, and I think that order was the way to go.
Yeah, we unintentionally went backwards, but I'm glad we did. I feel like I picked up, there's a lot of reasons that I picked up a lot of little things, but I liked it. I had never heard of this movie, with the exception of Laura always said, "Oh my God, have you seen Strictly Ballroom? It's another movie by Baz Luhrmann." And I said, "No, I haven't even heard of it." It's from 1992. So by the time we were watching movies, it was way outside of the time frame that people were probably talking about it. But this was so fun. This was such a good movie.
Oh, I'm so excited. Due to, life and everything. And again, disclaimer, I am recording in our new house in our new city. So there's an echo. I'm sorry. Sam just wants me to point that out. But we have not talked about this at all. I didn't even know when you started watching it or like when you ended it. We haven't talked about it at all. So you loved it. Tell me everything.
I loved it. Like I said, the only thing that I knew about it was that this is one of your favorite movies. This is one of your favorite movies, like with everything, which I absolutely love. You've seen this hundreds of times, and you're like, "Did you watch it yet? Did you watch it yet? Did you?" And I go, "It's on my list. It's on my list." We always talk about it until I go. We said, let's just finish up the Red Curtain Trilogy. We'll go for it. And I go, okay. Well, now I'm being forced to watch it, which is great because it's like an assignment for me, and I'm very task-oriented. And it was, I don't know why I didn't jump at it, because I love every single dancing movie. I love Take the Lead, Center Stage. The way people rush to the theaters they don't even care that there's like 15 Fast and Furious. They still want to see it again. That's how I am with Step Up. I go, oh my God, another Step Up. Still seeing it. I love dance movies. So the fact that I didn't run to this and didn't make a priority, I have no reason why. I have no excuse. I think it was just always going to be something that I was like, I'll get to it. And now I got to it.
And now you got to it and you loved it. So ballroom dancing, is that something that you were familiar with? Like,
I was familiar with it because I really do love Take the Lead. I love Antonio Banderas. I love Jenna Dewan. I don't know if I'm saying her last name. Obviously, Dancing with the Stars, I watched before. It's like in its 90th season. I don't know. But it was always I know clearly that it starts off as this mockumentary type style. There's a lot of camp. There's a lot of theatrics. Obviously, there's politics in anything, not just this world. But I feel like as much as it's satire, probably some of this isn't far off. just the drama of it all. I liked it. I was sucked in first 5 minutes because of Baz's style. I feel like this is more synonymous with his work, particularly with Moulin Rouge's style, than I don't want to see any of his other things. I think they were the most similarly comparable.
Oh, absolutely. And we briefly discussed this earlier, but this movie and Moulin Rouge, you can see where the groundwork for Moulin Rouge was laid in this movie. Like Roxanne was pulled straight from this. Some of the dance scenes were pulled straight from this. Some of the shots were pulled straight from this. The framing of some people.
Yes, I was going to say the framework with the close-ups in their faces.
Yep.
I was through, and we'll have the links in the show notes. Some of the links that I found, they had even acknowledged the fact that close-ups in movies are typically there to convey some sort of emotion, to bring you into the character for foreshadowing, perhaps, when this was clearly for comedy, to just, exaggerate the characters and really more of a caricature, if you will, of the main characters and the side characters of this movie.
It's just so fantastic. Another thing that this movie reminds me of, though, is, have you ever seen Best in Show?
No.
It's a dark comedy, I guess, satire about dog competitions.
Oh, I was gonna say it sounds like a Westminster Dog Show kind of
and
thing.
It's hilarious. It's very similar to this, where it's just like, where if you take a step back, you're like, oh my God, it's not that important. Like, none of this is really that important. And I feel like that is really kind of conveyed in this movie in the beginning, where they talk about the title that they want Scott to win, right? Where it's like this long ass, it's like the Pan Pacific Grand Prix,
Western
something like A1 amateur, like something, and you're just like, okay, this, it's not just like the championship, it's
right.
like, it's this small, like, kind of regional thing. It's not like on a grand stage. And it's so funny. It's so fantastic. So Jez, take me through kind of like your reactions to this, because I feel like the costumes and like the yellow dress in the beginning is just so it's so wonderful. We've got Ken, and Ken is in number 69, which makes me.
I was like right off the bat, I go, that is intentional if I ever saw it.
You're just like, oh, right away. You just know what kind of guy he is, and that is like simple like storytelling. Oh my God, it's so good.
You know who he reminded me of? The Ken Railings character. I felt like he was like a combination of, and granted, this is it's not that, but Siegfried from Siegfried and Roy. And then also it almost made me feel like Stanley Tucci when he's Caesar Flickerman in The Hunger Games. Like, it was a melding of them when really it's the other way around, kind of.
It's so good. I had to like remind myself, okay, like 92, right. Australia. So
right.
You've got, the hair and Australia, like 92 Australia, but also like competitive ballroom dancing. That is its own thing. Like, I was a competitive like high school like cheerleader. We did like nationals and stuff. Like, that is its own thing. There's like, tips and tricks.
When you want to talk about like if that was Australia ballroom dancing, you also have English ballroom dancing, and then to go with the like high school competitive cheerleading, cheerleading specifically in the South is a lot different than competitive cheering in other regions. And I mean, the same can be said about, football in the South.
I would watch ballroom dancing on like a local like cable access channel,
right?
Like where I lived, like it would just like be on, and I'd be like, "What is this?" And then I would get sucked in.
And that's the only place. Now that you say that, I feel like I guess I did have early exposure. It was always like on a local PBS at like 4 p.m. or something random.
Yeah, and it'd be like a competition, and they'd have like different like styles and stuff. So just like this, and I love it. So let's break down the movie a little bit, and then talk about. Jess did some research on this, y'all. You are gonna love it.
No, I'm a nerd.
You are gonna love it. You're gonna love it. So Jess did some research. We're gonna talk about the research. We're gonna talk about the movie, and then we're gonna talk about some themes. So let's talk about Scott. Something that I really appreciate is that these are all like like dancers, like they can all really dance, which is really great. And like Fran, the actress that plays Fran is like from the stage show, which is where this originated.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they brought her.
I didn't know. That's really cool. Okay, so let's talk about some of the background. Like you said, this started off as a stage play, a 35-minute stage play by Baz. So he, in an EW interview, Entertainment Weekly interview that he had, we'll link it in the show notes, the interviewer basically asked, like, did you kind of take inspiration the way Sylvester Stallone did with Rocky and pitching this and kind of taking it on his own? He mentioned that the way Sylvester Stallone did that in the 80s, when the stage play was from 84 or 85, inspired him to work that stage play and pitch it that way for this 92 film.
Oh, that's so great. I love it so much. I love it so much. And of course, his mother was a ballroom dancer, and he was also a dancer. So they have like exposure to this world. So this is like, you know, not true to life. Obviously, this is like,
but it feels like it's like when you talk about family, like you're allowed to talk shit about your family, but if anybody else did, you'd come for them. That's where I feel like, because he has that background and that familiarity, even if, you know, if there's, you know, some satire or like some dramatization, he can do it because he's in it. Yeah.
Right.
But it goes, God forbid anybody else try to come for him, nobody would be happy.
Nobody would be happy. Okay. So tell me about Scott. Do we like Scott?
I like Scott. Scott was cute.
Scott is
like,
cute.
You know, I feel like we're such like cinephile nerds right now. You know, Jake in 16 Candles, where he was hot then, and you could watch it now, and you're like, Jake is still
hot. Yeah.
That's how I feel Scott is. Scott was cute then, and so I'm like, yeah, please, okay,
Scott,
let's go for
still
it.
Hot.
But he had, I mean, clearly his character was like, he grew up in a ballroom dancing family, so ballroom dancing was life. He knew nothing outside. I mean, he even says it within the first 15 minutes. Like, I've been training for this since I was 6. That is all he knew, because his parents were competitive ballroom dancers. And when they no longer were actively competing, they opened their own dance studio and trained for the future competitors.
Right. And there's a twist. Oh, we'll talk about the twist going up, which, so sad. Okay. So Scott has a partner, and she's wonderful. And I believe her name is Liz. Yeah. You know, they have Australian accents. It's set in Australia. So like Les is the other instructor at the studio, but Liz is Scott's partner. So you have to, they're different people. And I love Liz. She like screams. She's very dramatic. Her hair, like everything.
Bangs.
The bangs. Oh, the bangs. But the rhinestones like in the fan of the, my God.
At one point, well, not one point. It was really like right at the beginning. I thought that they were being dramatic with the costuming, but then I realized everything is accentuated in these competitions, just like when you think, you know, kids are wearing, you know, theater makeup, essentially. Like, that's what it is. So at first I thought it was just trying to mock and be over the top, and then I go, oh no, this was the 90s. This is like legit.
This is what it was.
This is what it was.
Oh my God. Oh, it's so good. Okay. So Scott, poor Scott, you know, God, problems. Scott wants to dance his own steps, and nobody will let him dance his own steps. The drama. But in this context, it's not silly. It's like, yes, dance your own steps, express yourself, like individuality. You know, it's about more than that, obviously. But just talking about it sounds kind of silly. Like, yes, you can dance your own steps, but there's more to it than that, and it is actually really good.
But you want to know something? And I mean, we'll probably go into it more when we talk about the power and the corruption. And clearly, the time in which we're recording, I couldn't help. He goes, I just want to do my own steps. And then there's this part in the movie where there's the rumor that, like, the rules are getting rewritten. We might have some new steps that are approved competitive. And I tried to do research. I'd be like, I tried looking up and go, who makes up these rules? My Google search is all whack today. Because I just couldn't find it. Because there are, like, you have American ballroom dancing, you have English ballroom dancing. There's so many different things. And then I'm thinking about this movie, and then you have President Fife, or whatever his name is, with his Trump ass, with his Trump toupee.
Yeah. He's
like, oh, I make the rules. I set everything up. I determine, like, you could dance all you want. I'm going to determine who wins, basically. I was just wondering, I was like, here we go. Another cis white man fucking up with making their own rules and bullshit. I was just, with everything going on in the news, I was just like, fuck!
Well,
Rage!
It is like the drama of everything. And I wrote down some things that, like, when Scott is getting yelled at about, dancing his own steps, and he says, like, you're acting above yourself. And, do you think you know better than the people who pass things down before you? Like, what makes you better than your like dance ancestors, I guess.
But this also goes into, like, how we talk about Gen Z and Gen Alpha, where you have to appreciate, they're the ones who are going to save us.
Mm-hmm.
And here you have, but this is, telling to, this is the boomers of yore trying to say, like, how dare you speak against us? This is how it was, and this is how it always will be. God forbid we enact change to make things better. But that's us, like, being deep into it when it's not a deep movie.
But I guess, it kind of is, though, because, like, when Scott's getting yelled at, he's like, it takes two to tango, and, like, you are nothing without your partner. You're nothing without Liz. You have to come to your senses. You'll never win if you dance your own steps. And, like, I think that right there, like, is the like crushing kind of obstacle that we have to overcome, right? Like, if you dance your own steps, you will never win. So it's like a metaphor for a lot of things. Mm-hmm. And of course, Scott needs to find a partner to dance his own steps with. And of course, that is like the rest of the movie. But, like, oh my God, I just love it. I just love all of it so much. And, like, Fran, I just love Fran.
She, like, by the end of the movie, she was the actual embodiment of the flamenco emoji. I was like, hey!
She's just like all the tropes, right? She's like,
I have a problem with one of the tropes.
Okay. I'll start listing them off. You tell me which one. Girl doesn't need her glasses.
That one! I hate that one. As a glasses wearer myself.
Like, can you dance without your glasses?
Yeah,
okay. Never talked about again.
Like, did we even determine, is she nearsighted? Is she farsighted? Is this like a Lainey Boggs thing?
It's never discussed.
You look, your eyes are really beautiful. Like, where's Freddie Prinze? Please.
I
hate that trope. I hate that trope so much. Why can girls only be pretty without their glasses?
Without their glasses. Oh, and, like, she's wearing, like, big baggy, like, oversized clothes, and her hair's frizzy, and her skin is bad, and she's not wearing makeup.
Shout out 2020, that was me.
And she's clumsy. She's like all the tropes, right? All the tropes. And then Fran, and she, like, can't dance, and she's been there 2 years, and, like,
but she's still a beginner.
Yeah. So there's this whole big blowout fight with Liz, right? And Scott and Liz, whatever. And then one of my favorite, like, scenes happens, right? Like, Scott's like, "What do you want?" And Liz is like, "I want Ken to walk in here and say his partner broke both her legs and I want to dance with you." And then that happens and the kids are like, "Well, that was unexpected."
Talk about power of manifestation.
I love it. Manifest. It is fantastic. And then she goes, and then Scott does his, like, sexy one-man dance in the mirror, right?
Very, like, footloose kind of thing.
And, it's so, because he's a good dancer. He's got, like, this small waist and his arms. He's like, wah, wah, wah. And Fran sees him and Fran's like, I want to dance with you. And, shout out to a woman who knows what she wants and like goes for it, because he takes her up on it. He like gives her the time and then we have the montage, right? And then Fran is like, I want to dance your way, which I have kind of a problem with, because it's not like I want to dance like steps we make together. Like, right. It's like, I want to dance your way. And he's like, right. Oh, I have a partner that wants to dance my way instead. Okay. But that's just like,
well, and part of that, in those training montage, yeah, she's like, and he even said, he goes, if you dance my way, you're not going to win. And she's like, it's not about winning.
It's not about winning. Yeah.
But then there was a step that he couldn't do, but she did. And then because of like her cultural background, that we later find out she was like, dancing flamenco. And then he was just thrown off, like, what did she just do? And then when he goes to meet her family, he goes, that's where she gets it from, which I really like. But they kind of wind up integrating that eventually. But I do, like you said, I want to dance like you.
Shout out to Scott's mom for being like, I've got my happy face on today. Nothing's going to bother me today. I do appreciate that. I do understand having to plaster on a happy face.
Oh, yeah. I like the part where there was, maybe this is just the competitive nature, we're working on that. That has been a lovely work in progress Laura is trying to help me with, is when there's a part in the movie, he's like, I don't want to win. She's like, then what the fuck do you do this for? I do, as much as I understand about doing something for what you love, I do understand the point. And she's like, well, then what is it for? Like, why are we? Because from a financial perspective, there are certain activities that are, where more cost is involved. And ballroom dancing is one of them. It is not an expensive activity to take on.
For real. My next thought was horseback riding is also very expensive.
I know.
We're talking about tropes. We should talk about the spotlight trope. The spotlight is on a lot of characters and like frames a lot of characters in this, which I really love, because we have that in Moulin Rouge a lot. And, Scott has his own dance moment, and I really love that his dad also has his own like mirror dance moment.
Right.
Yeah. When they're in the thing. And that is very Moulin Rouge. That's like a small scale, like Moulin Rouge set right there with the Coca-Cola in the background.
Which is what I was going to say. Like, I picked that up. I go, oh my gosh, it's Coca-Cola. And because we watched this backwards, who knows what like marketing kind of branding rights were involved as the transition is, because we later see both in Romeo and Juliet and in Moulin Rouge, it doesn't say Coke, but it says L'Amour in the Coca-Cola font. Yep. But it was, I go, oh my gosh, like, there's another thing.
Yep. We need to talk about, and I don't know if you picked this up, and like, shame on me. Well, yeah, just shame on us for like not communicating well this week about it. But did you pick up on this whole montage being a Dirty Dancing montage, like tribute?
I didn't think of it as Dirty Dancing. I did pick up on the fact, I go, like, in my notes, I go, everybody loves a training montage, because you know how everybody loves usually it's like a fight sequence training montage. You have it in Air of Fire, you have it in Mulan, you have it in all these other things. And I love it because of all the dance movies I love watching. It's the learning the choreo montage. You have it in Save the Last Dance and Center Stage, all the step ups. I mean, Dirty Dancing, like and probably Footloose. I haven't watched Footloose in bad years, but every single dancing movie, there's always a learn the choreo montage. Just like if you have a makeover trope, you have the outfit montage. All I could think of is, remember, I mean, we've said this a million times, not on the podcast, but we've had conversations where you're like, oh, what I would do to just have the talent to sing and to be a singer. And every time you've said that, I go, well, if that's your thing, I've always said, I just wish I could dance. Like, let me dance like Nesta Archeron, commanding the room. I'll be your backup dancer for life. She'll be singing. I'll be in the back. It'll be fine. There's such an expressiveness that comes with dancing. I'm just going to live vicariously through film.
Oh, it's so, I think I want somebody else to watch this because after having like made Jessica watch it, I don't know anybody else that's seen this, but I think they pulled like shots, like straight shots from Dirty Dancing and like recreated them for this, like shoes and like some of the stepping and some of the like some of this parts and
like when they were in the black shoes. And you think of like Baby with the white kids.
Yeah, okay. And like the stepping that they're doing, then like the form and like keep it tight here and up.
Right.
And and like I feel like it is just so similar to Dirty Dancing that it had to have been like something. And of course, like Time After Time is playing during that too. Like,
and even in the beginning where like first you have the actual Time After Time and then there was the piano version
the
of
instrumental, just like
I loved that so much. And again, it's another one of Baz's tricks of using modern like popular music and integrating it. He's just wonderful. He's just wonderful.
It's so good. It's so good. And then of course during all of this, Fran's outfits get tighter. Like she gets, and like
she's getting more confident.
Yeah.
Her body is moving. Like she's just like in it.
And like Scott's a really good dancer, so he's like in it too. And he has to say, like, it's the dance of love. We have to pretend that we're in love. We're not actually in love. And Fran's like, yeah, but it's also like, yo.
But it also makes sense when you think of all these dancer couples.
Yeah.
That just you have to have such a connection physically as well to know your partner's body when you dance, when you perform, and it makes sense.
The first time I watched this, I was like, why is Scott's mom so mean to the dad? Like,
right.
Like, why? Of course, we find out at the end, like...
But I feel like that was almost a double twist.
Yeah, it was. It was like a double twist. But it was like, because she's like, stop shuffling, you stupid man. And like, like she's just like, she's so mean to him all the time. And he's such a sweet, kind of like quiet man. And just like, oh, like I feel really bad for him. So, Tina Sparkle. I love Tina Sparkle. I feel like now's a good time to mention the mantra. The mantra kind of in this movie that is very similar to Moulin Rouge. The mantra here is just, you wrote it down.
Oh, a life lived in fear is a life half lived.
Yes. So we get that with Fran and her grandma, and we get it in Spanish, right? And then we get it in English.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the mantra of the movie. And again, very, very similar to Moulin Rouge. We love it. We love it for that. We love it for this. Were you expecting this whole backstory with Fran and her family?
No, I just thought it was an overprotective Spanish family with their eldest daughter. I'm like, same. And then she's like sneaking off at night, and I'm like, okay. Like, you do what you do to just like survive. So I just thought that that's what she was doing. And then when she was going to the competition, she would just goes like, your dad, or to class, to the private lessons. It wasn't even the competition yet. He goes, you need to be back here for like the family party. And she's like, Mom, I'm going to go out. And she's like, your dad's on his way home. So if you're going to get now. Because then you find out that her family were ballroom dancers too, or like flamenco dancers.
And like, so the whole dancing situation. So we have Tina Sparkle. Let's talk about Tina Sparkle. Tina Sparkle, first of all, a fantastic name. I love the name Tina Sparkle. Her exhibition dance that she does with her partner that they show like in flashes, like very briefly, in that like fruit bikini. I was just like, oh my God, this woman is gorgeous. Like,
you have to look past the crazy 90s hair.
Yeah, like, it's like blue frosted eyeshadow and like blue mascara. Like,
I didn't know, again, if it was a dramatization of what they were trying to portray, because that some of the makeup and the cakiness of the eyeshadow. Remember that Maybelline Dream Matte from the 90s that was all cakey, or like the dollar store makeup when you got to play dress up? That's what I felt like.
Just
like the chalky pink lipstick that apparently we all thought complimented each other.
Yeah. Oh my God. But I also feel that though, because like, you know, you start off fresh in a competition, but like you're there all day, you know? So like by the end of the day, like that's what it is. And I feel like, it shows them like getting there, and then it shows them like dancing, and then it shows them afterwards. So it kind of is realistic. Also, as long as you're bringing that up, everyone looks very like wet and like sweaty and like, like oily, right? Kind of, but like that's kind of the times back then.
Well, not just that they're dancing. Like you said, it's a full day of competition. Spotlights are on them. That it's not just, I feel like in those instances that was accurately portrayed.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. I love Fran's family scene, this whole scene where where like Scott, so Fran and Scott have had this fight about Tina Sparkle, and Scott like runs to her house, and like her dad is there, and her dad is like this angry protective dad, also very handsome man, like and he's like, who is this? This is your dancing partner. He's like, well, what is the dance that you dance at night? So it's like a riddle, right?
Right.
And Scott like reads the room. He's like, paso doble. He's like, and of course they laugh Scott like off the stage, right? They're like, oh my God, this is terrible.
They're like, okay, you know paso doble? Let's do the yeah, like let's see this dance you've been practicing with my daughter.
Yeah, for real. So like Scott goes first. Terrible.
Is it terrible? Yes. However, it is the paso doble that has been, he has been instructed through these white people teaching him. So, is it the paso doble from them? Yes. Is it the paso doble known for love and connection from a Spanish background? Absolutely not.
No. Oh my God. So this whole paso doble sequence, you can tell, is Roxanne. It is where Roxanne came from.
I know.
Some of the shots are the same.
Yeah, absolutely. Everything. Yes, keep going. I'm sorry. Roxanne is one of the best performances of cinematic history of all time.
Yeah. And like you can see, like this is where it was like formed, right? Like, and this is really beautiful because you have like the dad and he's doing the paso doble, and it's very like, the tension and like, it's exactly how it's supposed to be, and the heels and the shoes, and he comes out with the jacket.
The bolero.
It's amazing, right?
I want that bolero.
Gosh. And then the grandma teaches Scott, right? So then like grandma like takes him aside. He's like, where do you feel the rhythm? And Scott's like, I feel the rhythm in my feet. And he's like, no, you need to feel it like in your heart, right? And she starts like, feel the rhythm. Don't be afraid. The mantra. And then Scott has a really fantastic like white girl Scarlett Johansson like moment. Did you like?
No, I didn't catch that.
You didn't notice that?
No.
Scott is surrounded by like all of Fran's family, and he's just like spinning in circles like this, and he's just like, and he's having the time of his life, right? And it's so funny. My note actually says Scott white girl dancing spinning. He's just like.
Your notes are always like top notch.
Oh, it's amazing.
DHL, white girl dancing.
And then Scott has a really great moment later on, and it reminded me right to Moulin Rouge. Scott goes like, I don't care about dancing the steps, and it reminded me of
she doesn't love you.
Yeah, in my notes it says, is this problematic because Scott is learning the like authentic dance from like Fran's family, like, and as like a white boy? Is this like him being embraced by like
are you asking, is it cultural appropriation or a cultural appreciation?
I don't know. I don't know what I'm asking. Like in like a 2021 lens, like watching this, I was like, what is this? Like, I don't think it's bad.
And I feel like I can speak to this because of like first generation American here. I wasn't offended. That doesn't mean there aren't people with this, you know, and I'm first generation American from like, and my great grandparents are from Spain. So like, I'm not far removed where it's like, oh, they came over in 1400s. No, it's nothing like that. So I wasn't offended. That doesn't mean there might be people who aren't, but there is an appreciation for, I mean, think about, you have so many diverse mixed relationship couples where they're going to other family, they're learning about their significant other's family and their cultural background and understanding it and appreciating it. I didn't get any appropriation vibes from this, but it's ballroom dancing at the same time where you have multiple styles of dancing. It's not just the waltz. You have, you know, or the foxtrot or the jive. You do have flamenco and the paso and samba and salsa. I mean, you have so many dances that are part of the, you know, ballroom dance community, as long as they're being appreciated correctly and not mocked. I think that's maybe where some of the standards come from, the rules. I don't know. Please, if you're listening, I hope we're not offending you. We're trying. We're trying here.
I bring that up because at the end of this, training montage that we have with the dad and Scott, he embraces Scott and then Fran and Scott kiss, right? They have their moment. And then we learn, right? We have all the drama going on behind the scenes. We have all the Barry Fife drama and the partner drama and everything going on.
The miscommunication trope.
Yeah, all of that going on. So what we learn is like the first twist in all of this is we learn that Scott's dad was one of the greatest like dancers that ever like existed, and we don't know like why or like what's going on with him, but he has this whole like backstory and likes to dance his own steps. Okay, we know this. His whole like flashback where like the actors were like in the weird makeup, I was just like, oh my god, I can't look at them.
It felt very like, was it in that mimey makeup to try to show this is the past, like this is a flashback?
I think so. Yeah, like it. Oh my god, it was just so like freaking wild. I don't even know. So we have manipulation by Mr. Barry Fife going on here. So Barry tells Scott that the reason that what is it?
I almost would say like, oh, you know, the reason your parents are so passionate about dancing is because they used to be basically the ballroom dancing couple. And well, this is what Barry Fife is telling Scott. And that's why they're so passionate about him following the steps and not doing doing the conventional steps and not doing his own, because his dad wanted to do his own and he did it in a competition and they lost the competition. And that's why there is a strained relationship on his parents' marriage, because his dad, Barry's telling Scott, his dad went off the rails and now you're going off the rails and you're following. Like, that's why they're just putting so much pressure on you. So that's what Barry's telling Scott. And Scott is like, oh, fuck. Like, I didn't realize that this was this whole history. If I'd known, this is so much bigger than me. So. Oh, and he's also saying, and your father would really want you to win this because like he didn't win it. So you should win it for him. Well, yeah. It's for them. Like, do it for them.
Yeah. So you know, come back and, you know, come back with Liz, your partner, because Liz now, his first original partner, has been dropped by Ken, and Ken has now taken Tina Sparkle because there's all this drama behind the scenes and it's so fantastic.
When she said, I didn't realize that she was dropped as partner. In my head, she goes, Ken dropped me. I thought he physically dropped her in one of their lifts. And and follow with me here. And then I thought, oh my gosh, no wonder she's crying. No wonder she wants to come back here, because part of the relationship with a dancing couple is trust. And if you can't trust your partner not to drop you, then that's not going to be a solid. I literally thought of it as a technical thing, not
just like
as another. Oh, like, oh, I'm letting you go as a partner.
You know, that's a fair point, because subtly, well, I guess like not super subtly, but like the backstory with Ken is that like he's a raging alcoholic, right?
So it could go.
Yeah, so he could have dropped her. He's a raging alcoholic, and he drinks like constantly. He's like sweaty all the time, and like, you know, he's like dizzy all the time. But everybody loves him, and he's been a champion for a long time, and he owns like a jacuzzi store.
Well, and then even though when he started drinking, like when it was just becoming apparent when he was competing that he was drunk, and Liz would even call him out on it, he knew the backstory of everything being corrupt and, you know, everything just being manipulated. He knew he was always going to win, so it didn't matter to him. He goes, he even knew anything could happen, and we're still winning, so I don't know why you're so worked up about this.
Yeah, like, and that speaks to the corruption and all the like politics going on behind the stage, and it's also fantastic. Like it's all great. It's very drama, like very high drama, right? Oh, it's just it's so good. And Barry whispers a line that really stuck with me. He says to Scott, he goes, "Trust in the Federation." And like, if somebody said that to me, I'd be like, red flag. No, I will not.
That's some Hail Hydra shit.
Yeah, I will not be trusting in the Federation. But it's all about like conformity and like stay in line and, you know, all of that. Just so, and then finally we get some communication. We get some communication between Scott and his dad. And his dad has to like actually scream at Scott and be like, "Pay attention to me. I need to talk to you." And we find out that Barry Fife convinced Scott's mother to dance with Les during that competition.
So so the story that Barry was telling Scott
wasn't true.
Wasn't true.
Yeah, it never happened. Doug never danced in that, and his mother and Les lost. They lost anyway, and it was the end anyway.
And they lost doing the conventional steps. So right. They were trying to make it this whole like, you can't march to the beat of your own drum, basically. This is what's going to happen. And he goes, you followed the rules and you still lost. It was never about the steps.
Yep, it was never about. And then we get the whole like reminder that like, you know, like fear, like don't be fear, you know, whatever. And then we get the end scene, the end dance, which I watch over and over again on YouTube.
That scene, I had to put it in notes. I didn't realize it till I don't remember at which part. In those end scenes where I'm like, I just had this like shit-eating grin on my face. I was like, my cheeks hurt, and then I realized I was smiling so big in this scene. It's so wonderful. I had chills when they start, who doesn't love
clapping?
The slow clap? Who doesn't love? First, it starts off as a slow clap, and then when everybody started getting into it, you realized it was the clapping of. That happened at her in her backyard with the flamenco, and it was so good. And then because obviously they were dancing and they cut the music and they kind of just froze, and then they tossed him her dad's bolero.
Amazing.
It was
amazing. It's so good, right? And then he does, and then she's like standing there, and then they do it's beautiful dance. Like, oh my God, it's show stopping. It's fantastic. Like, oh my God, what is it like to have talent? Ugh.
Right. And I mean, and this is just going to speak to our privilege that we've had the opportunity to see flamenco dancers live. And I mean, I think anybody can say experiencing anything live as opposed to just watching it, it translates so differently, because you could watch it all you want. And then when you see a live performance like that, you go, oh, I thought I was moved before. You physically feel it in the floor, because wherever you're seeing a flamenco performer perform, the floor is shaking, because those are steps of passion, of emotion, because you can't take on that dance, whether it's flamenco or paso, casually.
It's so incredibly powerful, and like the focus like on their faces and like the lines and the lighting and just, oh my God, it's so fantastic. And then like Liz gets redemption, she like turns the music back on, and then like everybody starts to like come, and Jez, we get our happily ever after.
You know I love a happily ever after.
And like the curtains close, and like that's the end, and it's so good. It's beautiful, but it's elaborate. It's simple, but it has like a deep message.
I also like how concise it is. If you think of it from a technical standpoint, the movie is only an hour and 35 minutes with credits. So without credits, it was at an hour 30. And I just really appreciate, I feel like, and maybe part of it's because, you know, going to the theater is so expensive right now. You might as well get your money's worth, you know. I better be, you know, if I'm going to be spending $26 on a Friday night at the AMC in Times Square, I better be in my seat for longer than 90 minutes. So, but that wasn't the case back in the 90s. But everything, it just kind of, you know, when you watch movies now where you're like, you could have cut a lot out. We didn't need that extra half hour or something. So I liked that it, you know, beginning, middle, end, communication, miscommunication, plot device, climax, problem. You got everything, and it was all done in 90 minutes. I loved it.
Yeah. It is. It's like rising action. It's a climax, and like, yeah, it's all there. It's all there. And we have our funny like sidekicks, right? Like, the best friend, and you know, we have all these characters. We have the kids.
The kids. You know, do you remember? You know who the kids reminded me of? And maybe do you? You know the movie Cry Baby with Johnny Depp?
No.
Oh my God, it's so good.
You've got something on me. I have not. No.
It's like it's very campy, and it's almost like a Grease satire, if you will.
Ooh.
Yeah, but it's Johnny Depp playing basically a T-bird.
I love it. I love it already. It's one of my favorite movies already.
And the girl, I always related to the girl that he liked because she was the girl in the poodle skirt, but she always didn't hang out. Like, she was trying to date the jock, but she wasn't about the jock. She was just like basically the poodle skirt girl with a leather coat, like a leather jacket. Like, that's me. I always say that. I'd be the poodle skirt girl at the Stones concert. Like, I wasn't at the Beatles.
So, okay, so we love this movie, right? Like,
yes. This
is a fun movie. It's a good movie. Would you recommend this movie?
Absolutely. I wish. It's definitely a movie that I feel like you can't I mean, maybe you clearly can. I don't have the persuasive technique to make somebody watch this on their own, but this is a movie where I was thinking about that at the end after I finished it. I could comfortably say, like, you know what? I want to suggest a movie to watch with my family. You know, or like, if you don't know what to put on, like, let's watch this movie from 92, or, you know, I could comfortably, but you have to sit somebody down and make them watch it. I don't think anybody's going out of their way, case in point me, to watch a movie from 92. I feel like the only movies that people are still watching from the 90s are Terminator. I don't know.
That's true. And you know, it's not an easy movie to watch, actually. How did you watch it? Like, what format? Like how? Like, physically?
I watched on Amazon Prime.
Oh,
that was the only place that had it.
Yeah.
I wound up finding it. I found a different link and it brought me to this. That's
That's crazy. I ended up watching it on Apple.
Oh, I don't have Apple. Was it on Apple, I guess? Did you have to rent it?
I rented it. Yeah, I rented it.
Yeah, I rented it.
Yeah, and like, I think it's on like YouTube. You could like browse for it. It's not just like out there. You have to like look for it. Like, Netflix doesn't have it. Like, it's just one of those things.
None of the typical streaming services
like have it.
Yeah. Because even I remember initially when we were looking to see how to view it, we're both in the US right now, and the link that I had said not available in my country, but the link that was bringing Laura to it, she goes, "What are you talking about? What country are you?"
Yeah, where are you? It says like Passionflix. It's on Passionflix. Like, the fuck? Okay.
Yeah, you asked me, go, "Do you have Passionflix?" I go, "Why would I have Passionflix?" So, because JLA has one of her movies there, and I go, "Did not watch that movie. I read the books." And that's what we'll say on that.
And that's that on that. Yeah, so you have to kind of hunt for this movie, but I would say absolutely worth it. I would say especially on like a big TV in like wouldn't that be beautiful
That would
with
be
all the
nice.
colors? And
I feel like that with any Baz film, though.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't watch it on my TV. I watched it on my computer, and that's how I watched it. That's how I watch most of my movies. I don't have Apple TV, like the device that can transmit it.
Yeah, I feel like it would be really, really lovely on a big, giant TV, especially the like close-ups of the faces and stuff. I don't know. It would be fantastic. Love this movie. Absolutely fantastic. Favorite moment is the Paso Doble with the family. And I love the end scene. I love the montage with Dirty Dancing. I love all the tropes. I have no complaints about this movie. I will just like scream to the stars that everybody needs to watch it.
Well, and there are still no complaints because I went to Rotten Tomatoes and it's at 91%, both for like audience and critics, which I was very surprised to see such a high critic review rating from Rotten Tomatoes, just because critics tend to be a little bit more, have more critique, if you will, than an audience review. And it raved. I mean, out of Cannes Film Festival, when it debuted or premiered, it had a 15-minute standing ovation.
I saw that.
It was a 15-minute
Amazing.
standing ovation. Like it had a midnight screening. People stayed. You know, it's midnight. If this movie is done at 1:30 or 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm done. You're lucky I didn't fall asleep in your movie. And then you stay for 15 minutes. And at that moment, in the EW interview, they brought that point up because I guess there's a special edition of Strictly Ballroom, and there was like a director commentary, if you will, and they bring up the director commentary saying in that moment somebody came up to Baz, like one of the security or something, and they said, "Monsieur, your life will never be the same again." And in that moment, because this was his first directorial debut, he goes, and it really hasn't, because here he was talking to Entertainment Weekly on his project with The Great Gatsby, so, and everything that he's accomplished since then.
I'm just so happy about all of it. I'm so happy that like we got to see it and like we're sharing it with everybody, and it's just underrated.
It's absolutely underrated. And you know what I like? You know how the cable network, they'll do on weekends or at night, they'll be like movies that you love if they're not doing a marathon, and then the next thing you know, they're just showing 27 Dresses 18 times a week. I feel like this is, but it's also those, rom-com, chick flicks, whatever, movies that you kind of have as, them by heart, but you still keep them on in the background while you're doing mundane tasks around the house. This is one of those movies where I feel like you can keep it on in the background and can always play and not necessarily be sucked in.
And you can always like glance away and look back, and it's always something like new and like eye-catching and like something's going on. Yeah, no, it's exactly like that. And it's just, I just adore the order that we went in so that we can see everything that he did and his growth as like a director and just as like a vision and like what he can do with like different budgets and like to hit different audiences, and like it's just amazing. It's just amazing. More people need to see it. I also Googled like reviews and stuff, and like as you said, people just like have nothing negative to say. They're like, it's like it's good. It's good.
Which is so crazy to me that it's just so vastly different. Where it's such this. Let me try to pull my words together. It's crazy to me that the critics and the reviews were so vastly different between Strictly Ballroom and Moulin Rouge when they're so similar. And I think it's a perfect example of people who review. It's their opinion. And there's different people reviewing. People's opinions were different in the 90s, just like the people's different opinions then and now. It's just always changing, and I think that's that.
Yeah,
as somebody who works in entertainment, it's frustrating. There's certain things where you're like, oh, well, it wasn't wrong there, and there's other things where you're just like, oh, that was a little rough.
That makes sense. Like times change, right? Between like 92 and when Moulin Rouge came out, and like the context of everything is different, and like just the vibe is different, and And yeah, and also like this was his first, as you said, his first film, and he won awards for this, and he got prestige for this, and this was his like kicking off point, and I'm so glad.
Which is to have all those awards and be where he is today. How does nobody reference it? Well, maybe people do, and I just am not caught up on, you know, what's being discussed about him. But I just feel like whenever he has a new project, this is never referenced.
No, I don't think so. I feel
like the only time it's referenced is when they talk about, quote unquote, the Red Curtain Trilogy.
Maybe, and that's exactly what we're doing. But I feel like it stands on its own. And as you said, I know it's not a musical, and it's more of a dance movie, but like those movies that like play all the time, like Burlesque, I feel like there's 10 movies or so that like play all the time, like as you said, that could be included. This movie could be included, and that would be one of them. So it'd be like what? Save the Last Dance, Center Stage, Burlesque, Strictly Ballroom,
Moulin Rouge, Step Up.
Yeah.
The first one.
Yeah.
Dirty Dancing.
Oh, definitely Dirty Dancing.
Footloose. Flashdance.
Yeah. Striptease.
The one with Elizabeth Hurley.
Yes.
I've only seen bits and pieces of that. I haven't seen it in its entirety.
Oh,
I think it was too mature for me. I think it was I know I was a child, but I think I was too young.
It is fantastically awful. It is just so gloriously terrible. That's
the one where she basically kills the girl, right?
Yeah,
for her spot.
Yeah, for her spot. It's just, oh my God. I feel like that's something that like we need to like have a group of us together and like all sit down and watch that. I think we'd love that. So let's not ramble. Jess, final thoughts on this movie. Do we love?
We love.
Yeah, we love.
Nothing. There's nothing negative to say. My only critique was that and it's not a critique on Baz, it's a critique on the trope. I hate the girl is only pretty without her glasses trope, because I have a lot of cool freaking glasses and I think I look great in them. So.
I also have like nothing negative to say. I bring up the whole like white man, you know, embracing like the culture thing and like that whole situation, you know.
Or they're going to say about them like running the world, but
also white men running the world and like taking over, and like this is her like coming into this like white cult, this very niche like white cultural thing, and like kind of taking over and like dancing her dance, and like, you know, all of that. Like I can see through a 2021 lens how people would be upset about that, but like we're pointing it out. Please do your own research. But I love this movie. I would love to talk about this movie. Okay, yeah, I'm done. Someone watch this so we can talk in the comments about this. It's just so beautiful.
Maybe Laura persuades you all to watch it, because she's the one who gets me to do everything.
She's
a pusher. She's like Tina Fey. I'm a pusher.
I push people. No, Jess is going to come visit me, and I have a bunch of movies lined up that we will be watching, and we will do something with them somehow, but it'll be a lot of fun. Jess, what's your favorite moment?
Oh, the Paso.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just making sure.
Like just anything involved with them and learning and the family and you know, the bolero tossing, like the passing of the you know where I stand with that. I thought that was just really sweet. Yeah, I loved it. And listen to Laura, everybody. Like I think that's just really, you know, we've been doing this for a long time. I've said it once. I'll say it again. You know, if I just listened to Laura in the first place.
No, don't listen to me. My opinions are garbage. Everything I say is trash. I really do hope that somebody like talks to us in the comments about this. I would just love to really get into it. It is just really beautiful, and I cannot talk about Baz enough. One of my favorite directors. In case you were wondering, one of my other favorite directors is Wes Anderson. So in case anyone was going to ask that.
The only thing I know about Wes Anderson is when people say, it's a Wes Anderson film. That's all I got. That's the extent.
Oh boy, are we jumping off into Wes Anderson?
Oh, Lord. So feel free to follow us on our socials. Laura's on TikTok at ACOFAE Laura. I'm ACOFAE Jessica on TikTok as well. We also have our Instagram, ACOFAE Podcast. You'll, feel free to keep up with us there. And if you feel, generous, feel free to leave us a review. So we appreciate everybody. Thanks for listening. Thanks for hearing us ramble. And we'll see you next time.
Thank you. Have a great day. Bye.
Bye.